I think we can get started. We're going to be doing some intros and overview to start. So if anyone's jumping in late, don't worry, we'll have the question time at the end. But to get started, just want to say again, welcome. We're so glad to have you all here with us tonight. And it's hard to believe, but summer does feel like it's right around the corner. And so we want tonight to help you prepare for your program this summer on Hurricane Island. So to get started, we are going to do some staff introductions so you can learn about the staff that are on the call. And then we'll kind of do a slideshow interview or like overview of our programs, a little bit about the island itself, and then some information that you might want to know ahead of the program. So for our intros, our staff is going to share their name, pronouns, how long they've been with Hurricane and their role, and their favorite activity to do on Hurricane Island. So let's get started with Claire. Do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so my name is Claire. I'm an educator on the island, and I've been with Hurricane for 3 years now. My favorite activity on the island, I think, is hiking and walking around. And my favorite spot to hike is high cliffs on the island.
All right, Claire, and then if you want to pass it on to someone else.
Oh, yeah. Kyle.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle, she, her, and I'm the Assistant Director of Education on Hurricane Island. This will be my sixth season on Hurricane, and I've got a lot of favorites, but two that jump to mind. I love sorting spat bags with students, pulling out the baby scallops from this like bag of biodiversity, super fun. And just like being in the intertidal zone is my happy place on Hurricane. I'll pass it to you, Will.
Thanks, Kyle. Greetings, everyone. My name is Will Galloway. I'm the Director of Education and Programs. I use he, him pronouns, and I'll be entering my third season as director. And it's worth noting that I've been bringing students out to Hurricane Island as my own students when I served as head of school at the watershed school in the a nearby town. But I've been doing that for over 10 years. So it's been terrific being here, seeing this operation from the inside. So it's great to be with you this evening. My favorite activity on the island is the dinner circle, which is when we gather before we actually go to dinner and share with one another some of the highlights from our day. So that's a really wonderful time together. And so let's see, I'll pass it along to Cam.
Hi,
Oh.
hi, we're in the same room. Did she just mute herself? No, okay,
Yeah,
we're
you're
good.
good.
We're good. Sorry for the double audio. I'm Cam. I'm the outreach manager. My pronouns are she, her. I've been with Hurricane for about a year now, and I think my favorite activity to do out on the island is a tie between swimming and reading. And I'll pass it to Margot.
Hi everyone. My name is Margot. I'm not a staff member. I was a student last summer for the Women of Water program. I use she, her pronouns. And my favorite activity is jumping off the dock, preferably at low tide, because I like a long feeling of my stomach dropping out and then hitting the water.
All right, and I'll wrap it up. My name's Megan. I'm the program manager here at Hurricane. I use she, her pronouns. I've been with Hurricane almost 2 years now, just hard to believe. And my favorite activity on the island is getting to jump in on lessons. I got to go lobstering with Kyle once, and it was incredible, and I will always remember it. And I think that's all of our staff, right? Okay. So now we're going to jump into a little bit of an overview of our organization. And so I will turn it to Will to do that.
Terrific. Thanks, Megan. So I wanted to just provide a little bit of orientation here in terms of where we are, where your children might be ending up here at Hurricane Island. We are part of the Fox Island Thoroughfare. This islands here that you see on the screen to your right. Hurricane Island is in red. And if you look to the left of the screen, you see the Rockland Harbor. And that distance across the West Penobscot Bay is about 10 miles. And so that's the distance that we travel usually by ferry. And it takes a little bit over an hour, like an hour and 10 minutes to get out to Vinyl Haven or Hurricane Island. And so that's where we'll be. And it's a unique location because of where we are. We've got these cold currents coming up from the south and cold currents from the north, warm currents coming up from the south, and this fresh water coming in from the Penobscot River. So all that is swirling around out there where we are. And you could skip to the next one. And our mission as an organization is to integrate scientific research and education on a Maine coastal island to develop leaders prepared to address environmental issues in a rapidly changing world. Great, thank you, Megan. And our program to really realize more fully this mission has four components, really. And the first one is place-based science education. And it's hands-on work in lots of different contexts on the island, whether it's the intertidal zone or in the woods or out on the aquaculture site. But it's rooted in really immersing yourselves in the natural environment and learning from it. And then we have our scientific research, and that's ongoing with all kinds of programs around the country. And we have a field research on the island where we have scientists and researchers who visit. And we try to integrate the work that our students are doing when they're here with us on Hurricane Island with the research that is ongoing. So they're contributing meaningfully to this ongoing database. And then we are off grid and our systems are focused on being more sustainable. So we have solar panels, we have a constructed wetland that is managing our gray water that comes out of the kitchen or the bathhouse. And then we have a freshwater drinking system that is pumped up by solar panels to the top of this hill and it drains down to our campus. And so we're focused in many ways on being more sustainable and our role models in a way, demonstrating to other people what's possible. So it's an experiment in living out on Hurricane Island with sustainability as a focus. And then lastly, leadership development in the context of how do we work well together? You know, is it how well we communicate, how we're collaborating and making difficult decisions, how we take on roles in group work, whether we move into a leadership role or learn best how to follow or how to be supportive of others. So it's getting a really clear sense of how to engage in group work and play. So leadership development is a big part of what we do. And I'll pass it on to Kyle.
Great, thanks. Cool. So I'm gonna dump some info on you about coming and going to the island and what the actual like facilities living wise looks like on the island. Building off of what Will said about sustainability, most of our open enrollment programs come and go using the public ferry. So we will meet at the Rockland Ferry Terminal and aboard one of these ferries. And our Hurricane Island educators will be there, meet you, as well as Megan or Will typically. And yeah, that's about an hour 15 ride. And then once we're in Vinyl Haven, if you can jump to the next slide, sweet, we'll climb aboard our lobster boat, renovated into a passenger vessel, Sunny. Sunny holds 17 passengers. And from the Vinyl Haven Ferry Terminal, we'll hop on over to Hurricane Island, which is about a 15-minute boat ride. Next one. So we also are using Sunny often for going out on the water, doing sampling, going to the aquaculture site, going lobstering, like Megan mentioned. And I do just want to highlight that anytime we're working on the water, participants have to be in life jackets. So that's anytime we're on the aquaculture farm or hauling any type of gear, sending a Niskin bottle over, anytime we're using sampling equipment, working on the water, we've got life jackets on. We also, side note, we'll have to wear life jackets when we're swimming. So that's a safety element of hurricane. And then housing. This is our bunkhouse, outfitted with all these solar panels on them. The bunkhouse is kind of split into two sides. One of them is the actual bunk rooms. It can hold 30 participants, and it's broken into 8 rooms. And then the other half is more of like a hangout space that the students use in the evenings or the morning or sometimes for lessons. And if you go again, this is like an example of what one of the rooms looks like in the bunkhouse. 6 of the 8 rooms sleep 3 people, and then there are 2 larger rooms that sleep 6. And so they're broken into rooms. They have doors. There's a decent amount of privacy. And our 2 of our education staff stay in the bunkhouse with the students overnight in case need anything or emergencies, which we never have on hurricane. But we're there in case they need us. Some other housing options. Most of our open enrollment programs are going to be staying in the bunkhouse. But other options just to be aware of are the yurt, which can hold 10 students. Pretty fun experience living in a yurt. And we also have a bunch of these little cabins sprinkled around our main campus that can sleep anywhere between 8 to 3 participants usually. This is our bathhouse, shower house, whatever you want to call it. This has gender divided and a gender neutral bathroom with sinks and showers. It also has gender neutral separate outdoor showers that are like one of the most magical places on hurricane, although students tend to be a little wary of them, but can't see anything, I promise. And there are separate bathrooms, toilets in there as well. So altogether, I want to say there's like 8 or 10 sinks for brushing teeth, washing face, and 6 showers for students to use, and a bunch of toilets. And then this is like totally set up as a sustainable building as well. We've got the sustainable solar water heaters, and it's totally run on its own little solar grid. And you can't see it in this picture, but our man-made wetland is there, which is a really cool way that we filter our gray water on the island without having to really deal with sewage in a gnarly way. Oh, and then this is our claim to fame, our food on Hurricane Island. We have 2 of the most incredible chefs, thank God, returning again this year. Truly, our food's incredible. So many students leave saying their favorite part was the food, which hurts my heart a little bit as the seeing the education programs, but it's a good thing to know. We have really great food, and they're so good at accommodating any dietary restrictions or allergies. We've got vegans on the staff, we've got gluten-free, we've got nut allergies, so they're ready to handle all of that. If that's a concern, don't let it be. But if you are worried about any severe allergies, you can always reach out to Megan or myself and we'll get you in touch with the chef. But they're amazing.
Okay, I think Claire is going to jump in now to talk a little bit about what to bring and what to prepare for your time on the island.
Yeah, so we do have a packing list that is very helpful, but I'm just going to talk about a little bit of what you can expect in terms of activities and what gear would be helpful to have. In general, it can get a little bit chilly especially in the evenings, so we recommend having layers with you and plenty of wool socks, especially if it's earlier in the spring or later in the fall. During the summer, we do have some pretty nice days where you can totally wear shorts and sandals, but it's always really good to have a pair of shoes that you're comfortable walking around in, hiking in. We also recommend bringing rain boots if you have them, so that we have an opportunity to go out into the tide pools and exploring the intertidal zone. We do have some gear that students can borrow. We've got some extra boots and some extra jackets, wool blankets, sleeping bags, headlamps, etc. But I think it's always nicer when you can have your own gear that you've brought from home. It's important just to know that we're spending most of our time outside. So anything that you would need to be comfortable for a day in Maine in July is something that you should imagine to bring with you. In general, pests are pretty limited on the island. We do have some ticks, but we're pretty good about doing tick checks and encouraging students to do tick checks as well. It's not usually that buggy on the island. I think that's a benefit of being right next to the ocean. But the occasional mosquitoes and flies. Another thing to be aware of is that we do have brown-tail moths on the island. We're pretty good at keeping students away from it. Brown-tail moths are pretty recognizable. They're pretty easy to identify, and we can really easily identify their tent nests that are in trees. So, like I said, they're easy to stay away from, but they can just produce an itchy rash if you do come in contact with them. So some of the things that you can expect to do on the island are really adventurous things like the raft challenge. It's great to have clothes that you're okay getting wet. It's great to have a bathing suit. A lot of our activities are going to be a little bit more messy or a little bit dirty, or you might get wet. And not just from the raft challenge, working with scallops on the aquaculture farm as well. And then a lot of students have the opportunity to go climbing on our granite quarry wall as well. So I think that's just another push to burn clothes that you're comfortable moving in. So in addition to doing things like hiking and climbing and swimming, we do a lot of hands-on marine science, from looking at plankton under the microscope to sorting through scallop spat on our aquaculture farm or learning about the lobster fishery. There's a lot of different ways that we approach science, different topics in marine science and island ecology throughout our programs as well. And then I want to touch a little bit about the community aspect of being on the island. Community is a pretty important part of our island, especially because we're a little bit more isolated and we are kind of all we've got on the island. So we rely on each other a lot. And because of that, and to strengthen our community, we have a no cell phone policy on Hurricane for students. And so what that means is we will collect students' phones at the beginning of the program. We ask students not to bring things like smartwatches or other gaming devices, for example. But things like a digital camera to take pictures are okay. And then we will keep them safe and locked up, and then we'll make sure that students get them back at the end of the program. And we think that that helps students be more engaged in our programming and fully involved in what we're doing on the island and enjoying their experience there. So I'm going to touch a little bit on some safety aspects of being on the island. I think it's good to know that almost all of Hurricane Island staff is Wilderness First Responder certified. We've got a fully stocked infirmary with band-aids and splints and pretty much anything that you could imagine. We do require permission to administer anything like ibuprofen, but we've got that all if need be. And then additionally, we do have a pretty thorough evacuation plan in place if that's ever needed.
All right, we're going to turn it over now to Margot, who is going to share a little bit about her experience on Hurricane and maybe anything that she would have wanted to know before attending. After that, we'll jump into some questions.
Okay, so like I said, I came last summer to Hurricane, and I did the Women of Water program, which was, I want to say like a 10-day long program of an all-girls group. And we did a lot of different things. We talked about like climate change. We did a lot of discussions and like conversations, um, and sort of like the community building aspect where we got to know each other. And we learned from our incredible teachers who were very knowledgeable. And we also did a lot of activities, like we went swimming a lot. We went on hikes. There's a on like the northern or southern tip or something part of the island, you can go sit on the rocks. And we journaled, we looked at different like shells and rocks, and one girl in my program found like a bunch of sea glass, and that was her whole thing for the time that we were there. Um, yeah, we did a lot of different things. And we also, probably my favorite part was that the teachers organized like 7 women who are in marine focused fields to come to the island and talk to us. So we got to like speak with these really incredible, experienced women who are in fields that a lot of us were interested in going into, which was very cool. And beyond the like program part, we got to go to the outdoor showers, which I promise are incredible. Especially at night, you can see all the stars and the ocean, and it's beautiful. Um, yeah, we went swimming. Like I said, we jumped off the dock, which was very fun. We did the rock climbing, which I found terrifying, but it was very cool. There's a lot to do on the island, and I'm coming back this summer to do a pre-apprenticeship program, which I'm very excited for. And I think for any advice for anybody coming in, I have is more of like a mentality thing. I would say like be very open. That is cliche to say, but like don't be the person that is not going to take advantage of everything that's offered to you there. There's so many things to do, and like I went swimming in bioluminescent plankton at night. Like when am I ever going to get to do that again? And like take advantage of those opportunities and be open to like trying new things. And at the same time, like you're probably not going to see many of the people in the program again. Like you have so many opportunities to kind of do whatever you want within, like respectful bounds, but you can like say what you want and be who you want. And that's a very exciting, open possibility time. So yeah, I would say like be very open, be excited, be ready to talk to people, and learn. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Margot. That's really insightful. Okay, we're going to jump into some questions now. So I'm going to stop sharing. And if you have a question, feel free to, I think it's probably easiest if you raise your emoji hand or just unmute and we can figure it out like that, or I can call on people.
You can also write it in the chat.
Or write in the chat if you don't want to come on and speak. So either way, and we'll answer questions. Okay, I think we have a question here from Eleanor. So Eleanor, feel free to jump on and
Hello. I apologize if it's loud. I'm outside. Um, I was wondering who would be the person to talk to about like accessibility accommodations?
yeah, I think Kyle, if you want to jump in there, I think it could be a variety of people, but
Yeah, happy to. I would initially reach out to Megan, who will connect you with me. I kind of oversee all of the programs happening on the island, so we can connect. Happy to like talk about any accommodations we can make and create the best experience for your student. If it requires me looping in the educators that will be running the program, we'll do that, or I can pass on information. But I'd say first go to Megan, and then she'll connect us.
Amazing. Thank you.
Totally. Thank you for your question. Great one.
okay, looks like we have a question in the chat here. We'll be coming from North Haven. Can we come direct to the island, or do you prefer if we take the ferry to Rockland? Yes, this happens sometimes. We do daily pickups from Vinyl Haven, so you're always welcome to meet the group in Vinyl Haven because that's where they'll be going, and then we can pick up from there. You can also come directly to the island. We have had people who have gotten picked up by boat if they live on a neighboring island, so that's certainly an option. Yeah.
In the chat.
Another one from Lydia. Megan, you can answer the first half about packing list.
Yes.
But since I'm already talking, I'll answer the second half about free time. Yes, the students get free time every day. It's usually an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. And it's either scheduled after lunch or before dinner. And during that free time, they have many options. That's typically when they're going swimming off of the pier, or if they want to go hike around. We do ask that the students stay in groups of three or more when they're hiking around the island, like outside of supervision limits, and we give them a little walkie-talkie radio that they can check in with us in. But we don't love for students to go solo exploring, just in case if there was ever an emergency. But yeah, we also have tons of games, lots of activities offered every time, or they can just go take a nap or read a book or reset or shower. But yes, free time every day.
Yeah, and I can answer that first part, which is about packing lists. So you should have received a packing list upon registering. It should have been part of the bunch of documents you got. But I will be sending out pretty soon another reminder about the packing list and program logistics in more detail than are just on our website. So you'll get another one of those, though please feel free to reach out if you need an additional copy on the packing list. And looks like there's two questions about how do we help the students to get to know each other and, what things are done to help orient the students to the island and to one another. Claire, you might be a great person to answer that.
Yeah, so first, I think that the ferry is a really great opportunity for students to just get to know each other. It's an hour and 15 minutes that we're all just hanging out on the boat together. And so that's a time that, as an educator, I'm typically walking around and introducing myself, and we're getting to know each other just in an icebreaker kind of way. But once we get to the island, we do a welcome circle and everyone formally introduces each other. And then we start the move-in process. Once everyone's all moved in, we've oriented everybody to the campus on Hurricane Island. We do something called tone setting, which I think is a really great opportunity for students to set expectations and understand where everyone's coming from and what they're hoping to get out of the program. And so beyond that, we do have activities like talking about comfort zones and kind of what people are comfortable or uncomfortable with and how to make the most of your experience and recognizing those different places that people come from. I will say that I think, and maybe Margot can honestly speak to this as well, I think that being on the island, you get to know people pretty quickly because you're spending a lot of your time with the same people, and being in this pretty unique experience that you're all in together. But yeah, Margaret, do you have anything else to add about that and your experience getting to know people?
I would say, I mean, kind of like what you said, it happens pretty naturally. Like you're in a group that's going to be pretty small on a small island. You're living in rooms with people for multiple days. So it does naturally happen. And also, like, if you're bunking with someone, you have like a built-in friend already that you're close to. So it does happen pretty naturally.
Awesome. We've got a raised hand and then we'll jump back to the chat. So, Lindsay, if you want to ask your question, then we'll go back.
I'm going to be doing the program starting on July 19th. Can you guys hear me? Oh, great. I'm going to be doing the program starting on July 19th. What's the age group going to be?
Yes, I can. I don't know the dates off the top of my head for all the
Sorry,
programs.
I
No
don't know
worries.
what it is. Sorry.
That's okay. I can grab it really quick. But that's a great question. So July 19th, you're doing the Coastal Ecosystems programs. That's a middle school program. So it's rising seventh and eighth graders.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. Thank you. Okay, let's jump back to the chat here. How much choice do the students have with activities?
I can take
Claire,
that
go ahead.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we pretty much have a set schedule for your time on the island. I think free time is the big time that students have free choice in what they're doing. Otherwise, we're all doing a plankton lab together, or we're all going to the intertidal zone for the most part. There are some times when we will give students a choice between one or two activities, but like I said, for the most part, we're all together doing the same thing. We have pretty small groups that we stick with, so I think that that helps.
And just to add to that, our motto on the island is kind of challenged by choice. So no one is going to be like forced into doing climbing or going swimming in the very cold Gulf of Maine water. It's really like we're gonna encourage you, but of course, it's like if that is way so far out of your comfort zone, we'll support you in that. And all of the students always are so supportive of each other as well. So absolutely nothing's forced.
All right, we've got another question here from Nicole. So related to free time in groups of three when going into out into supervised areas, can you talk more about supervision overall across the day's schedules and at night? I think Kyle or Claire.
Yeah, I'm happy to take this. For every program we run on Hurricane Island, our typical program size is 14 students. Some end up being smaller. We have two educators assigned to each program. So for 14 students, two adults. And then we have all of these other departments that work with our student groups as well. So facilities team, research team, the galley staff, our cooks. And so they're always jumping in and doing like sustainability hikes or taking them to the farm as well. So sometimes there's more than two adults. But as a general rule, there's always two adults with the groups. For meal times, we eat all of our meals together. And if students want to like run to their housing and grab something, we can basically see all of the housing from our main campus area. We'll usually ask them to grab a buddy to do that with and make sure they're back in a normal time. Um, and yeah, I would say supervision is pretty constant. At night, we again have two educators on overnight supervision with every program. So they will be in the sleeping bunkhouse area with them. If they happen to be in the cabins, we have our educators post up in little tents outside of the cabin areas. But they're right there, and the students know where to find them and that they're welcome to grab them at any moment. But yeah, supervision's pretty constant except that free time, which is why students love to take advantage of that going on a hike by themselves with a radio.
Yeah, for that time, those students, they do get a radio. We teach them how to use it so that they could contact us and we can contact them. We give them access to a map so that they can tell us where they think they're going to go, make a plan, and make sure that we know when they're coming back. But I will say that's a little bit of a privilege to have on the island if we ever feel like we can't trust students to use that in a respectful way, or not to break our trust in that way, then it's something that's very easily taken away, and we won't let students do it if we don't think that they're going to be responsible.
Awesome. Okay, let's see. Got some more here. I'll keep going through. Okay, so question about when will the agendas go out for pickups? Because we've got a lot of people coming from out of state. Yes, so all the kind of pickup times and drop-off times are on the website for each program, but you will be receiving a really detailed logistical email from me in the next week or two that will have, where to pick up, when to pick up, and information on presentations. Our high school programs do have presentations on the mainland after the program pickup happens. So it's about 30 minutes after they start. So that's just something to keep in mind, but those will go out soon. If you are booking flights or planning your drive or anything and you need more detailed information sooner, please feel free to give me a call or email and I'll get you the info you need, but that should be coming soon. And yes, it looks like we've got lots of campers coming from out of state. We generally have it's about 50% students from Maine, about 50% students from out of state. So it's a good mix of people from all over, which is really cool. All right, let's see. Question about schedules. So how is the day organized? Do students know their schedule the day before or in the morning?
can talk about this one. We post the schedule for the day, the morning of every single day. Each program has a little whiteboard that will write out everything that we're doing for the day. I typically will talk about it the day before, give a little sneak preview of, oh, we're going to the tide pools tomorrow, so make sure you wear your boots, that kind of thing. I don't do a full rundown of every single thing we're doing, but I'll highlight a few the day before in our closing meeting or whatever group time we're having together at the end of the day. But the morning, we'll go through the schedule during our morning time together, make sure everyone knows what's going on, and then that schedule is posted for the entire day for students to take a look at.
Awesome. Okay. How often do we send updates? For the week-long programs, we send one update. That's midweek, and you'll receive a link to photos, a really nice write-up from the educators on what's been happening throughout the week. And it's always fun to read and see what's been going on and what students have been up to. And then there'll be a final update with like all the last pictures after the students are gone. For our longer programs, there's one more. That's for our 10-day ones. You get two updates. Yeah. Any more you want to say about that, Kyle or Claire?
Nope, that was perfect.
Great. Okay, and then this is a obviously important question too. We touched a little bit about on safety, but in the case of emergency, how would someone get to a hospital?
I can jump in on that with regard to what was mentioned earlier. We do have an infirmary there on the island. And again, all of us are woofer trained, so we're really quite capable of dealing with a lot of the incidents that you'd expect to find or see in that kind of setting. However, there is the Coast Guard, and they can send a boat and get us to Rockland in 20 minutes. So it's a very fast boat. They can be here quickly, and we practice that every year. So we have a really good sense of how to make that happen if we need to do that. And we also have a landing field for a life flight, which is a helicopter that is here in the state of Maine. And so if we needed to do that kind of an evacuation, we are prepared to do that as well. So we're in a good shape. And also we have Vinyl Haven. Vinyl Haven Island is just, a 10-minute boat ride, and they also have a lot of medical personnel there if we need also to get assistance from them. So we're pretty well covered. But feel free to add if there's anything else people think to add.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. Question about what is wake up bedtime?
Where do you want to take this one? You want me to? I can do it.
You do it.
A little bit flexible. Wake up time is mostly just to get to breakfast on time. So we have breakfast every day at 8 a.m. And we try to have everybody down there by 8. It's a real bummer when people are straggling down later. But we keep educators up there until everybody's like shuffled down. Sometimes it just takes a little longer to brush your teeth or wash your face or whatever your morning routine is. But so we're typically waking them up by 7:15, 7:30, unless people ask to be woken up earlier, which totally happens and is fine. Bedtime also kind of dependent on the group and whatever evening activity they're doing. So after dinner, we do some sort of evening activity every night. Stargazing, it's going to be a little bit of a later night. Making a campfire, a little bit of a later night. If we're just having like game night in the swallow's nest, that could be an earlier one, and people are welcome to like drift off to their bunkhouse rooms as they get sleepy. But I would say in general, we like to have people in rooms, lights off, quietly reading or journaling by 9. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. Okay, I don't see any more questions in the chat. Hopefully, I did not miss any. Sounds like we've got some people chiming in from where they're from, so feel free to do that.
Can I just add one more piece, Megan, for a minute?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe Margot, maybe you can add into this as well, just in terms of how often I hear from people about the connections that they make with one another and also with staff members and other researchers who are out there on the island. And there are often, there's usually another group that is out there, whether it's another open enrollment group or another school group. So there's all kinds of mixing that happens, for example, at mealtime or at the dinner circle, as I mentioned. But I don't know, maybe Margot, was there anything else that stands out in terms of how you engage with other people and connected with them in informal ways as well as formal ones?
Yeah, that's a good point because I actually still text a girl who was in my program. And like I talked to her like a week ago and now we like text each other and she's also from New York. So it's kind of nice that way. And again, like a lot of people are coming from, not everybody of course, but a lot of people are from like the East Coast area. So there's definitely ways to like get in contact with people. And in terms of like instructors, like Claire reached out to me to do this. And of course I said yes. And like yeah, you have a lot of ways to connect with people. And connections that stay for a long time. Like 8 months later, I'm still talking to a girl I met. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks.
Thanks, Margot. We've got another question. Are Kindles okay for reading? Yes, Kindles are okay. This can be nice to have stuff to read. We do have some books out there, if you finish what you're reading, if you bring a book, but Kindles are okay. Yeah. I have a quick question for the hurricane staff. I would love to hear, and Margot too, do you have a favorite island tradition?
I can start on that one. I think that I don't know if you call this a tradition, but I feel like for most of our programs or all of our programs, the very last night we have a campfire. And I think that's just a really nice time to all come together, sing some songs. We have some sweet treats. So I think that's just a really nice way to end the programs.
I'm not sure if this is a tradition more like a special thing. But if we go haul my lobster traps and you catch lobsters, we'll eat lobster for dinner. However many you catch, unless I have a bulk storage of them, which does sometimes happen. But I would say most programs get to eat lobster. So there's not often do we have like a lobster per student, but a lot of students come that have never even tried it, and so we'll split some lobsters between the group, whatever we have available.
I have to agree with Claire. I think the campfire at the end is very special. And it's a nice way to like round out the program and have some fun with your friends and stuff. Yeah.
I would say that mine is going back to the dinner circle is after we have some announcements and a little bit of sharing about highlights from the day, whoever is leading the circle passes something all the way around the circle. And it can vary day to day. And sometimes we might, for example, all be holding hands and we'll like pass a squeeze, and the squeeze goes all the way around. Or like sometimes it's a twirl or like a crazy thing, like acting like a certain animal, and you have to pass that all the way around. It's like a really fun, lighthearted way to just, share in one another's company. So it's really nice.
I'll also add on that I did it again. Sorry, Megan and I are sitting next to each other, so that's why there's the double audio. I'll add on, I also really love the dinner circle. Being someone who is not out on the island 24/7, I'm one of the staff members that's also working out of our Rockland office. And one of my favorite things about the island is, without fail, dinner circle every single night. Everyone who is on the island is there for dinner circle. So we ring a bell, everyone goes, and everyone who is new that day to the island will introduce themselves and say their pronouns and who they are. So I'll come out sometimes in the middle of a program. Students have no idea who I am, but I automatically get that introduction, which I think is special for just the island community as a whole, and making sure that everyone feels included and there's never any strangers or questions about what people are doing.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that, Kim. Okay, let's see. We've got another question in the chat here. How off-grid are we in terms of electricity? Are there outlets for charging cameras, batteries, flashlights, etc.? We do have, you can charge things like flashlights, cameras. We do have charging available in our dining hall. We generate enough power to do pretty much everything we need to do on the island, and we do have a backup generator if we weren't to be generating enough power. So it all comes from solar. So typically we're able to do everything without needing the generator, but we do have that as backup, which is important to know. Will there be multiple programs on the island at the same time? Typically, yes, we do often run two open enrollment programs at once, so that could be up to 28 students on the island. Occasionally, we'll have an open enrollment program and a school program that might come with some of their teachers. Those programs will typically stay quite separate with all the activities that they're doing, but they'll see each other at meal times, dinner circle, some activities like free time. But other than that, they'll stay pretty separate. It's a good question. Okay. Any other questions from anybody? Oh, we got another one.
I just put a super specific one in the chat. Sorry, everyone.
No worries. Yeah, is Ocean Lab full yet? My daughter's trying to recruit a friend. I think we have, off the top of my head, at least 3 spots left in Ocean Lab. So if you have a friend, this is a good time to register. Programs will typically start to fill, beginning of April or so. So I would say in the next several weeks would be a good time to register if she's successful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other last questions? Okay. Are students allowed to bring their own games for free time? Ooh, that's a good question. I'll share. I think Kyle's nodding yes. I'm gonna say yes, as long as they can carry it with their things. So kind of as we talked about, students get to the island by taking the ferry and then getting picked up by one of our boats. So they do need to carry their luggage. We'll certainly help if they need a hand. But just keep in mind anything that they bring, they probably will need to fit in their bag and be able to carry. So, but yeah, they
I
have a
will
free.
add, we have like footballs, those Nerf wiffling footballs. We've got a pretty janky basketball hoop on the island, but the kids love it. We have what a wiffle ball, frisbees. We've got a lot of like outside games and toys like that, but any board games or card games that they're really into, totally bring it. It's really fun to watch the students share their games with each other and teach each other games in the evenings. We get this question a lot. If your student's really into fishing and wants to bring their own fishing pole or fishing gear, bring it on.
Ooh, well, we have a kid chat Zoom before camp. We haven't done that before to my knowledge, but could be very fun. Could definitely explore that if there's interest in doing a little, more student-specific session. For sure. It's a good idea. Okay. Throw some last questions in there if you have them, but we'll probably start to wrap up soon. I will say, as all of this information percolates in your brain, and if you come up with other questions after sitting with some of this information, please feel free to reach out with any questions you have. We're always available via email or phone to answer other questions that come up, whether it's really specific or just something general. And we're happy to help. We want everyone to feel prepared as they go into their program. So yeah, please feel free to reach out because things come up at random times as you think of them or as you start considering packing or travel or whatever it might be. We're happy to help. I think that looks like it's all. So oh, yes. And if people want to do meetups, feel free to reach out to exchange numbers. We can help with that if need be too. If there's an interest in meeting up ahead of the programs or doing carpooling too, which could be helpful for people going farther away. All right. Yeah. Anything else
Yes,
from our team?
just a big thank you to everybody, and we look forward to meeting you and your children and having them with us. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you all so much. We'll be sharing this recording out with other people just as a note, because there were some people that weren't able to join, but wanted to see what was going on. So thank you so much again for attending. Like Will said, we can't wait to welcome you to the island this summer. And again, reach out with any questions that come up. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. Have a great night
Thank you.
and see you in the summer.